Hi guys. Today I have the great honor of having here with me Salman. Uh, we are in the metaverse, but he's also from, apart from the metaverse, he's also from Pakistan. And we are going to collaborate on a number of initiatives to, especially with education for children, for youth in the metaverse. And Salman, we were just before hitting the record button here, we're talking about it, right? How can we improve education in the metaverse? What's your take on it?
I think the technology will be assisting the current resources in the market, the human resources. If you say, just as per the previous discussion we just had, that they should, in the old school thoughts, there were 15 students per teacher. But in this technology era, there can be hundreds of students per teacher, live or not live. And the solution, technological tech solutions can be, measuring all the criteria, all the KPIs of the students, and give it to a single teacher or a single automated tech solution that is providing this, creating another domain for exploring in the technology domain, so that the youth can benefit and youth can have this technology for learning on the cheaper rate, in the safe rate. If, for example, in this COVID era where there are lockdowns and we don't know how many variants there will be coming in the future, so we can have this kind of metaverse that's in built hygienic conditions. We can attend this education classrooms, and we can educate the children, because what COVID has disturbed is the educational development of, I guess, 2 years across the globe.
Yes,
that is a very big gap. All the students across the globe have to go through in their future. So we are in a transition phase. I guess it will be a better one in the future.
And it doesn't have to be 100%, and it doesn't have to be, because that's the thing, that the prejudice that a lot of people have with education online is that it doesn't have to be, it can be not only at the same level, but it could be better. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have space for the physical education, but when you start to mix and really adapt learning into an experience and converting into an experience which is not a PowerPoint, which is not a professor or a teacher just giving tasks online, but it's beyond. And I'm not even talking about this, because when you get to something like this, then it's going to be another level. But if just a notion of more presence, of more, a teacher, a professor that is engaged with the students where they are, it could be on the chats, could be whatever. But it's not about gamifying education, but it's about making it more engaging. Now, even if it's with the assistance of machine learning, AI, how can I make it more engaging? And then you said, like, how can I get the talent of one teacher and expand that? I have a beautiful example. A professor, I don't remember the country, but it was in Africa, and he was teaching his students like a private class. I think it was math, and he was teaching on WhatsApp, and he had like 80 kids learning on his tutor class. He was recording and just sending the videos, and most of his students were above the average in the rate, because he was there. And that's super metaverse. That is a huge application of metaverse on WhatsApp. So imagine if you take that to the next level. I don't know. How can we improve that? How can you are a curator. I am a curator too. So we are curators, Salman. How can we curate content and people and DNA to improve this thing?
I think we are actually curating by starting these little chunks of discussions, little chunks of brainstorming, so that people should start thinking about it. There should be a noise in the market. When there will be a noise in the market, they will think on it. Then there will be solutions coming on it. And if you go back 2 decades back, what people thought of Windows and computers which were not connected before the internet, And now
Yeah.
net is the basic human right across the globe right now. So we have to stay connected. We have for learning, for professional development, for businesses, for health, for learning solutions of real-time health solution transforming from one country to another. We have seen this in COVID era, that research studies across the globe were simultaneously put in the real time across the board, across the globe, and professionals were looking at that. Okay, this medicines work in that country on these many trials. These are learning on these many trials. We are going to the Web3, and it will only, it's an iteration phase. It's an iteration. We will test, develop, deploy, test, develop, deploy, and it will eventually evolve. There will be downfalls, there will be success stories, and it's all iteration.
Yes, and you're talking about this before. You're talking about this idea of it's not about unlearning what we know, but it's moving forward with everything, including the technology. That it's not just adapting what we have now, but moving forward to things that are unmanageable, or completely new, and with the focus. And I think there is something beautiful about technology that sometimes people forget, that technology is not about the technical, the hardware, the software. It's about empowering human capacity, empowering ingenuity, empowering this creativity, this innovation. And if the technology is around, all right, it's around, but it's not the main thing. No, so and in the case of education, we're talking about this idea of global citizens. What does that mean? How can I have access to the best talents in the world? How can I put together people from all over? Like this idea of one, it's utopian, but I live by that quote. How can it be one big family, one big world, united through technology that helps?
How we cannot be, why we cannot be, and how we cannot be. I just had an honor to attend a Harvard conference, sitting in my room and listening to the all the bright brains and intellectuals and experienced professionals who have served decades in the world. And what I have learned was not, this opportunity was not present before. This opportunity is present due to this transition phase of the life cycle of internet, of starting from Web 1, Web 2, we are going to Web 3. So what we are connecting, we are learning from like yourself. You are discussing with a person in Pakistan. I'm discussing with a person, having a discussion, brainstorming session with a person in Spain, or we are in US, or in China, or in Australia. So that's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we develop. For example, prior to COVID, e-learning solutions were not acceptably globally acceptable, right? In 2004,
there was a lot of prejudice around it.
There was a month around it that anyone can get a certificate online. They don't have knowledge unless it's academically from a college or on a regular basis. I learned technology in 2004 via HP Learning Center, doing more than 5 dozen of courses in 8 months. For all the networking, all the hardware stuff, and that time it was very, in the buzz of the time. So I learned it, and when we in our generation went to the market, we had the previous generation was not adaptable of the e-learning ideas. But now, as we are now the employers, as we are now recruiting and mentoring the youth, we know that if a child comes from an e-learning platform, he has a credential. That means he has a credential. That means he has or he or she has a learning ability, or the concept actually matured about the topic.
And then sorry, yeah, go ahead.
This is, as I said before, we are in our iteration phase. We are curing. Stay positive. Keep working on it. We are iterating. We will be, mature through this iteration.
And then something that you said that I connect that to, it is not about just the access to the knowledge, because now, and most people still haven't discovered that, but if you're watching this, you do have access to the entire knowledge of the world right now at your fingertips. The question is, it's not about the knowledge, the access of the knowledge, but how you connect the dots, how you're creative around it, how you create value around it. And I think that is where curation enters. That's how we, by having this basic knowledge or advanced knowledge, you can actually solve a problem that sometimes we get bugged into the hype, and everybody talks about, like you and I talk a lot about the metaverse. It's not about the hype. It doesn't interest neither. Both of us, we are not interested in the hype, but interested in how to enhance human capacity through this. And I think that is the challenge in the 21st century, and that's the challenge in this. And I think after COVID, it has accelerated the amount of distraction. And I see a lot of kids and youth distracted in rabbit holes that's not going to lead them anywhere. And I don't want to save anyone. I'm not saying that we're going to save, but if you can create this alternative of creating value through this well-curated content, well-curated applications, they understand that the power of being professional, the power of being create a service for someone in need. I think that's where technology enters, and that's what has changed the world so far.
No doubt in that. And just discussing about the content, for just take an example. In your childhood or in my childhood, we have gone through the course materials, a texted printed content, which has only one way of communication with us, through our eyes.
Yes.
We can read it only.
Yes.
We cannot hear it. We didn't have an immersive experience with it.
You cannot feel it. No.
Yeah. Now, if a Gen Z having a problem, he Googles it on a YouTube and get the solution from the YouTube real time in 2 minutes. He doesn't have to go to the library. He shouldn't be a member of a library and access to that knowledge. The barriers are going down. Those barriers are going down. Yes. That is the positive side of this technological disruption. So
the challenge, I think, is what is going to be on YouTube that these kids going to watch that is actually a path to the truth in that subject that this person is actually looking for. Yeah. Again, it goes back to curation again. I mean, do we have the best people, the best DNA being presented there? That is the key, because maybe the best teacher is in the middle of a countryside and this person doesn't have access. But I want this person to give this class. I want this person to teach my kid. It doesn't matter if this person is in the middle of Pakistan, Brazil, Spain. Is this the best professor for that subject? I want that content through that person.
Exactly. If you go through YouTube, 4 years back, there used to be a little bit of chunk of knowledge relevant to academics, right? Mm-hmm. During COVID, it rose hundreds of times, right? And similarly, when there's a need, you get the solution. Exactly. The need arises for a right content on the YouTube. Now we have, curated content specific to subjects. For example, if you talk about mathematics of high school, you will find very, very good curated content on maths from Sri Lanka. from India.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
You can get quick maths, algebra. You can get very good content, right? And that is curated by other what we had in past for the critics of in restaurants and academics. Now we have critics. Now we have critics of YouTube channel and content.
Exactly.
They helps to cure. They helps to cure the problem. That is the verified content, the verified knowledge that has been transferred. It's a peer-to-peer effect of this decentralized network.
Exactly. It's no. You're saying this is the present. I would say this is the future. It's the present. How can we expand that to the next level? When I think about, like, when I see something like this, the content yet still today, it's not. I mean, it's great. The potential is great, but it's still not there. And I'm concerned about how can we bring this from by design to start creating good stuff that can empower people. Like, I don't know, I have my own sons. They are 8 and 9 years old, 10 years old, as I record this. Where's going to be the future when they are my age? How is going to be their involvement in technology? What is that going to be? How can we create this? How can we plant the seeds now so they can deploy and develop the good tech of the future? No? Talking about barriers are for everything. Literally, we are. If there is one prison for us, because we are prison in the solar system. Apart from that, there shouldn't be any boundaries.
Yeah. For example, if you talk about AR and VR, and if you talk about the future, even Mr. Stephen Hawking didn't have the answers for the future. He has models for the future. If this can happen, this can happen, but he wasn't actually sure about it. Neither we can, but we can have models about it.
Absolutely.
We can forecast the models. We cannot, exactly define that will happen.
Yes.
Right.
Show the alternative. No, it's like if there will be garbage out there, it's okay, but I'm gonna show an alternative here.
Yeah. For example, the people like the conditions Stephen Hawking were going through. Still, he had teach and wrote so many. He was a new generation's Einstein, right? So, considering this fact, we have AR and VR technologies in the future. What we have gone through in the COVID, in a pandemic, which haven't we in these generations had experienced, we have experienced now. Considering known risk now, which was unknown before.
Yes.
That is kind of a future pandemics.
Yes.
We can have alternate platform that is virtual, that is a metaverse created, which helps us with the distance, which helps us with the safe, secure, healthy environment.
Yes.
Controlled environment. It will be a decentralized but governed.
Yeah.
Decentralized and
but with quality standards that are high, or curating the standards, making sure that it's healthy. It's absolutely.
So they will learn. They will start. For example, in previous, if we take the use cases of the past, governments used to have a problem that they have to reinvest the taxpayers per capita against the per capita income of the taxpayer region in the districts for creating a welfare-based schooling, hospitalization, and the community services, right? Now, with AR, with VR, and going to robotic surgeries, which is in testing phases right now. So what we can predict in the future, we can predict that a good team of surgeons centralized in somewhere in the region, doing surgeries on daily basis across the region robotically, even if there is a epidemic in that area. That won't be a problem in future.
No.
And
you're going to have access to an amount of people that for one reason or the other, they don't want to move around. You're going to have access to more talent. You're going to have access to, you're going to decentralize both supply and demand.
Yeah.
Really reducing costs, increasing quality of life, making people working less, but better.
Working less, again, in COVID, people went through drastic health problems. The survivors went through drastic health problems. Do you think they will be as fit immediately to work on their life cycles as they were before that? No. We have to adapt. We have to create another parallel ecosystems. Otherwise, in the future, such kind of risk, which was unknown to us before, we should have a backup in hand.
Absolutely. And if you don't have, and through this collaboration, and co-creation instead of isolation is key. On that note, Salman, let's close the chapter. We can have other rounds of this conversation. Thank you, man. Thanks for sharing your vision.